beat the reigning champs. With their effort last week, they have the highest defensive efficiency in the NFL. They'll be going up against a Chiefs offense that ranks 8th in efficiency. And of course, we know about Patrick Mahomes. Both are in the top 10 in touchdown to turnover ratio, while they each rank 3rd on third down conversions. The Chiefs converted 7 of their 13 third downs in their Week 16 matchup. Here's Mahomes earlier today on Saturday's matchup with Houston.
What everybody's kind of known. I mean, that defense is extremely real. They have a great quarterback and a great coach. And we knew when we played in this last time, it was a hard-fought game. And they get after the quarterback really well. They have really good secondary players, and the linebackers fly around. So it'll be a great challenge for us, and we'll have to play our best football.
Yeah, Dan, the Texans defense absolutely destroyed the Chargers. What stood out to you about their scheme there and how they played?
Yeah, I mean, they put 5 guys across the line of scrimmage, and they wanted Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson to destroy the football game, both in the run and the pass. And I think that's going to be a big-time challenge for the Kansas City Chiefs is when they put those 5 guys across. Because here's the thing, when you do this defensively, you got to be able to play man coverage, and the Texans are capable of it. And these 2 guys on the outside, Will Anderson specifically, he just wants to destroy plays, and he's just going to try to blow up wherever it is, whether it's in the protection game or in the pass game. And then the internal stuff where they can create some one-on-ones. Remember, Danico Autry's there. And Autry in their internal rush game is a big problem. And so I'm going to be very interested to see how Kansas City handles these guys, because when they get those creative matchups or they try to take advantage of them with the man coverage, which is something Kansas City has struggled with, this is going to be advantage Houston defense. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for Kansas City. Handling that 5-man front, handling those 2 just heavy-handed, almost freight trains on the outside, while also dealing with pretty legit sticky man coverage.
You nailed it, man. Their defensive line absolutely deserves the game ball. Number 1, game ball number 2 should go to the defensive backs.
Golly,
because they lock down on the outside, specifically against Ladd McConkey, who's such a great route runner.
Yeah.
Here you're going to see Miles Bryant going against Ladd McConkey, and you're going to see him do that sail route that we broke down on this show, where you go inside, give him something hard inside to get out. They're locking on it. You could tell that they were in the film room. They knew the tendencies, and they had a plan for it. The next play is going to be Kamari Lassiter on the outside against Quentin Johnson. A very similar route concept, but it's a big play. Inside release, hard fake inside to go big throw. These are throws that Justin Herbert has made his money on this year. Not only that, he's hand on them, find the ball, get the ball. That is a textbook play from their corner. And lastly, it's going to go back to Bryant against Ladd McConkey again, and also Lassiter. They're going to top hat this, which means the point man is going to actually have the guy in the back, and the corner is going to have the point man. Perfect operation that at the switch release, they're able to locate and lock down. This is on the 4th and 2.
Yeah.
Not only that, Derek Stingley Jr. up front, up top, physical at the line of scrimmage, so the route depth isn't even there enough for a first down. On 3rd downs, 4th downs, the D-line was getting after Justin Herbert, and the guys on the back end were bringing their A game too.
You know what gives me a little bit concerned about this game, Kansas City's perspective? That's exactly what the Browns did to the Chiefs like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And while the Chiefs won, that was the 5 or 6 interception game, it felt like, from Jameis, and they did not perform well. I'd also say this. It gets a lot of flack, and rightfully so in many ways. Azeez Al-Shire matters on this defense because his ability to get downhill in the run game and hit people changes at least the feel of their defense.
Yeah.
I'm super interested, fellas, and everything y'all just said about this defense is right on task. The only problem is Andy Reid and his ability after a damn bye week technically or being off. And then I can guarantee you this, between Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and I know that both you gotta account for both of them, but we've seen Kansas City make a living leaving an edge alone and ignoring him. And I want to see how Houston is going to adjust to that up front. Absolutely. And we see him do. We saw him do it to Bosa. We saw him do it to all of these elite guys that on the edge. And it's always a different scheme. Obviously, we know that when they get into the playoffs. What's going to be interesting for me is where Hawk was. Because if you ain't got nowhere to throw the ball, you ain't got nowhere to throw the ball. Yeah. And we've seen Pat give it away a little bit more than usual this season, obviously trying to build that rapport with his wide receivers. The keys for me are How will the Houston Texans defense handle when you have Will Anderson or Daniil Hunter, whoever Andy Reid and Matt Nagy decides to let that guy be the guy that we ignore technically and put him in conflict? And also on the back end, how do you handle the slot? Because we talk about Lassiter, and I just saw you talk about Bryant, but we talk about Lassiter. I think they are going to stay away from Derek Stingley. But whether you decide what you do with Travis Kelce with a safety or whether you decide what you do with Marquise Brown, I think that's going to be the story of the game between those two guys in the passing game.
Something else that I think is huge. Andy Reid said the Chiefs would rotate DJ Humphries and Joe Thuney at left tackle in practice this week before making the decision about who's going to start against the Texans.
You're going to pay me enough to not start Joe Thuney.
Right, but I don't know. The left tackle spot's been a question mark for them this season.
I mean, his whole plan is going to be to stay out of third and long.
Yeah.
That's going to be Andy Reid's whole plan.
Yep.
All right, well, we're going to be talking about that game a whole lot more before Saturday as well. But his year started promising, but did not end that way. Overall, his best production came against teams with losing records, going 3-1 while throwing 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in those games. Against teams with winning records, he finished 3-5, and his QBR ranked in the bottom 10. Here's Mike Tomlin today.
I'm certainly disappointed that I'm not working to prepare to play this week, and I've certainly felt that in recent years, but stuck is kind of a helpless feeling, and I don't know that I feel helpless. I'd imagine there's going to be some things that change around here on a lot of levels. We don't have a quarterback under contract, and so we got some major discussions there. It was a really good experience with the 3 quarterbacks that were on our roster this year. And the major work, obviously, starts first and foremost with just understanding what our options are.
Graz is back with us. Graz, what is the plan at head coach and quarterback for the Steelers going forward?
Laura, as I understand it, the plan at head coach is Mike Tomlin. The Steelers gave him a contract extension last offseason, and I've been told nothing to indicate that they are dissatisfied with him, and he sounds like he is planning to move forward as their coach. So, do things change sometimes? Sure, but as of now, it does not seem like there's a change there. At quarterback, I don't believe there's a single rock that they can turn over that they won't turn over. I think literally everything is on the table. They're just now starting off-season preparations, and of course they were hoping they wouldn't have to start them this soon. They could keep Russell Wilson. They could keep Justin Fields. They could keep both. They could let go of both. They could go out and, try and sign Sam Darnold. They could try and trade for Kirk Cousins. Every name you could possibly hear on the quarterback market is going to be somebody the Steelers consider. They have to get the position right. As usual, they're not drafting particularly high in the draft. So if you take a shot on a quarterback at that point, it's a little bit, higher risk, as the Kenny Pickett pick from a couple years ago shows. So the Steelers know they have to get that right, and that their success going forward will be tied in large part to when they find the answer finally at that position.
Yeah, great stuff, Graz. I mean, Huck, it sounds like Tomlin's going to stay, and maybe he should. If he does, what does the future look like for him in Pittsburgh?
I think that's the biggest question. Should he wants to stay? Yeah. And that is not an indictment on him or the Steelers organization. I'm the biggest fan of the Rooney family and the Steelers. I grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. A+ first class in every capacity.